Okay, so you know how sometimes it feels like there's something kind of wrong with you, like you just don't quite fit in?
Yeah, like you're somehow different from everyone else and not in a good way.
Exactly, like you're too much of this or not enough of that. Well, that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
This is going to be a good one.
I think so too. A listener sent us this masterclass all about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's by Ramad Barous. Have you heard of him?
The name rings a bell. Remind me what he does again.
So he's a law of attraction facilitator. Basically, helps people understand how their mindset can shape their reality.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. So in his master class, he asked this really thought-provoking question. What if there's nothing wrong with you? You're just different,
Ooh, I like that.
right?
Yeah. It's such a shift from that, like deficit mindset of like, oh, I need to fix myself.
Totally. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're going to explore this idea of being different and hopefully offer a fresh perspective on those feelings.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So Baru starts off by talking about his own experiences feeling like he didn't belong.
Yeah.
Being told he was too sensitive, too soft.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling, like they're just too much for some people or not enough for others. But here's the really cool part. Bruce actually came to see his sensitivity as a strength.
Interesting. How so?
Well, he realized that it allowed him to connect with people on a deeper level, create a sense of safety and understanding. So it's like completely reframing that perceived weakness into a positive thing.
That's powerful.
It is, right? It's
Yeah.
like turning that self-criticism on its head.
Yeah, for sure. And I bet that resonates with a lot of people who might be struggling with similar feelings.
Absolutely. And then he takes things even deeper by bringing in some spiritual perspective. He talks about this Kabbalistic idea that every soul arrives on Earth with a unique light.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful concept that you don't have to prove your worth.
Yeah.
You just have to be. Like your existence is enough.
So it's like challenging that whole idea that we constantly need to achieve things to be worthy.
Exactly. It's saying you are already inherently valuable, just as you are.
That's really liberating.
Yeah, totally. And he points out that it's often our ego that makes us feel small, scared, or separate.
Right. It's that inner critic that's always comparing us to others and telling us we're not good enough.
Yeah. But the truth is, beneath all that ego noise, there's this deeper reality. You are already whole. You are already complete.
Love that.
Yeah. So it's about connecting with that essential self-acceptance, that inner knowing that you are enough.
All right, so we've got this really powerful spiritual perspective. But then Burrius takes it a step further and brings in science.
Yeah. He references the work of Dr. Lisa Miller, a brain scientist at Columbia University.
Wow, okay, I'm curious to hear about this.
So Dr. Miller studied people who feel a strong sense of spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Whether it's to God or the universe or love, whatever resonates for them.
Mm.
And what she found was pretty amazing. These individuals tended to be more resilient, calmer, and happier overall.
Interesting. So it's like that feeling of connection is actually good for us.
Exactly. It's not just some woo-woo idea. It has real, measurable effects on our well-being.
Wow, I like that. It's like science backing up this ancient wisdom.
Exactly. And her research actually shows that this sense of connection has a positive impact on brain function, promoting feelings of peace, kindness, and meaning. So it's like when you feel connected to something larger than yourself, it literally changes your brain for the better.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it? So both the spiritual perspective and the science seem to be pointing to the same truth. You're not broken. You might just have forgotten your inherent wholeness and connection.
Okay, so that makes sense. But how do we actually remember that? How do we tap into that?
Well, that's where the meditation comes in.
Oh, right. He does a guided meditation, right?
Yeah, he does. And it's actually quite simple and straightforward.
Tell me more about it. What did you think?
So it starts by focusing on your breath, which is a really great way to ground yourself in the present moment. Then he guides you to visualize yourself as light.
Okay.
And the idea is that this light represents your true essence, that pure, radiant being that you are at your core.
I love that.
Right. And then there's this really cool part where he tells you to notice any negative self-talk that comes up and to just gently label it as the ego and let it go.
That's so helpful because often we get so caught up in those negative thoughts, we believe them without question.
Exactly. And so this practice is about creating a little space between you and those thoughts. It's about recognizing that they're not necessarily true. They're just the ego doing its thing.
Yeah. And just acknowledging that can be so freeing.
Totally. And then he guides you to bring your attention to your body, to notice the sensations in your head, neck, shoulders, just feeling into your physical experience.
So it's like a way to come back to the present moment and get out of your head.
Exactly. And then one of those powerful parts is that he gives you permission to allow all your emotions to be present without judgment.
Hmm.
Whether it's fear, sadness, anger, shame, whatever it is, just let it be there.
Wow. That's really powerful because I think a lot of us, especially those who feel different, try to push away those difficult emotions.
Absolutely. But what Baruch is saying is that you are big enough to hold all of it.
Mm.
You are the space that can contain all those feelings with love.
Yeah. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by those emotions, we become the observer.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can be so transformative.
Okay, so this is all great, but how do we actually apply this to our lives?
Well, Baruch offers a really practical and actionable takeaway. He says the goal isn't to try to fit in or be someone you're not. The purpose is to embrace who you truly are, with all your quirks and differences.
Yeah. And to do that with kindness and self-compassion.
Exactly. And here's the key. When that familiar thought, what's wrong with me, pops up, he suggests consciously replacing it with the question, what's special about me that I can appreciate today?
Oh, I love that. So it's like actively shifting our focus from self-criticism to self-appreciation.
Exactly. It's about intentionally looking for the good, for the unique qualities that make you you.
That's such a great reframe. I'm definitely going to try that.
Me too. And he even encouraged people watching the masterclass to reinforce this new perspective by sharing specific phrases in the comments like, I'm different and that's my power, or there's nothing wrong with me. I'm learning to love who I am.
So it's like taking that internal shift and making it external, declaring it to the world.
Yeah. It's a way to really solidify that change in mindset.
So what would you say is the key takeaway from all this?
Well, I think the big takeaway is this. Feeling different doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. In fact, it might be your biggest strength.
Absolutely. And we explored that through a bunch of different lenses, right?
Yeah. We looked at Baruch's personal experiences, the spiritual wisdom of Kabbalah, the scientific evidence for the importance of connection, and we even learned a practical meditation to help us cultivate self-acceptance.
It's pretty amazing how it all ties together.
It is, right. And ultimately, the message is one of hope and empowerment. You are not alone in feeling different. And those very things that make you feel different might actually be the key to living a more fulfilling and authentic life.
I love that. You are enough, just as you are.
Exactly. And you know what? I think it's worth considering this. What if those parts of yourself that you've been trying to hide or change are actually your greatest assets?
Hmm.
Like, what if embracing those very things, instead of trying to fit in, could lead you to unexpected opportunities and a deeper sense of purpose?
Wow. That's something to really think about.
It is, right. It's like flipping the script on what we've been told about who we should be.
Yeah. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me, we can ask, what's special about me?
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the real magic lies.
I think you might be right about that.
I have a feeling we'll be exploring this idea even more in future deep dives.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.